Oh, okay. So I'm going to do this again because last time I was like, how do you say your name? Bertram or Bertram? And you were like, yeah. So how do you say your name properly?
No, but that's not fine. I think in English it's just Bertram.
Bertram. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, bruh, he literally, I said it two different ways, tomato, potato, and he was just like, yeah. Yeah, so how are
It's
you
not really meant
doing?
for English.
How are you doing
I'm
today?
doing great.
You're good? Yeah?
I'm good. Thank you.
What have you been up to?
Same stuff as usual. Working on the platform. I think I'm partly here to talk about today. We're looking into to actually enabling our users to pay for some of the services we deliver. And as it turns out, there is a lot of stuff you got to take care of if you want to handle people's credit information.
Yeah, because you're in, does Denmark count as Europe?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because you're in
Even
Europe. So there's a lot of like privacy laws and stuff like that with the EU.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of stuff about stronger user authentication when doing bank stuff in general, which is that is a lot to handle as a developer, but it's coming along.
Okay, right on. He's on his way to billionaire. I could see that. That makes sense to me for
I feel
sure.
that might be a stretch, to be honest with you.
Really? Okay. Well, when you become a billionaire, can I ride on your yacht?
Yeah, sure. When I
Anth-
get a yacht, when the day I get a yacht, you're invited. I promise.
Anthony, you're recording this, right? Okay. Binding contract. Cool, 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 cool. All right. So, do you know what's about to happen right now?
I'm assuming you have some questions you want to ask.
That's true. But
Um,
before that,
mm-hmm.
we play a little
Oh,
game.
the R&B 90s jam.
Yes. And so when we were talking to you in the sync, you said you were excellent when it comes to 90s R&B. This man was born in like the year 2020. And so I anticipate he's got quite the Rolodex. So let's get to it.
Hey everyone, it's Anthony again, the producer of the Stats on Stats podcast, and I just wanted to add a quick note here that Gianna did the vocals for this week's That's My Jam. So I just wanted to give her a quick shout out. Gianna, thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. You can follow her on Instagram at Destination Gianna. All the links are in the description down below. Anyways, let's get back to this week's That's My Jam.
Sometimes I need reminded. It's never all about me.
Here are the rules of That's My Jam, 90s R&B edition. So we're going to play 4 different songs. We may or may not remember to say what the song names are at the end, but we're going to play 4 different songs. You're going to get 3 guesses? What did we change the rules to today? You get 3 guesses to figure out either the name of the artist or the name of the song. If you can get both, doesn't matter. Points are the same, but it is a flex. Yeah, so that's kind of it. Is there anything I'm missing? All right, Gucci gang. All right, so you ready?
Yeah, as ready as I'm probably gonna be.
All right, Anthony, song number 1.
You were so blind to let me go. You had it all, but
This tells me nothing. I think I'm like there is no way. Like you mentioned a flex. If I can do both the artist and the song name,
You don't.
I think this is gonna be. You said there were 4 songs. A 0 out of 4 then. I have no clue.
You didn't even want to guess like Katy Perry or something.
Also, like, I don't feel I can just start spitting out like pop names. I feel that would be a bit disingenuous to like this kind of music. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh, you could just say Boys to Men for every song, like our last guess.
I guess One Direction.
Oh. I love this for you. All right.
You're welcome.
Song number 2.
Some people say that I am not the same girl. They say I think that I am in my own world. What makes them think that I have changed? A little dough cannot erase my problems. Me like you, I have to try and solve them. Yes, everything is quite the same. I'm just trying to be me, doing what I gotta do.
I'm completely lost.
People think
I
that
have no idea.
just sitting on top of the world.
I thought he was gonna say Harry Styles. It's all good though. It's okay. It's okay. All right.
Oh, Harry Styles would have been a. Oh yeah, should have done that. Should have done that. Noted.
All right. Song number 3.
Ladies, leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And all you fellas, leave your girl with
It's
her
gotta be
friends.
Backstreet Boys,
It's
right?
11:30 and the club is jumping.
Close.
Though he say you got a girl, yeah, it's true you got a man, but the
It's a
party ain't
female
gonna
girl
stop, so
group.
let's make it hot, hot. Last weekend you stayed at home.
Female
alone,
girl
lonely.
group.
Couldn't find your man, he was chilling with his homies. This weekend you're going out.
Did you know Beyonce was in a female girl group?
Huh?
Did you know Beyonce was in a female girl group? Yeah.
No, I wasn't aware actually.
Song number 4, Anthony.
Look, I'm absolutely gonna demolish this.
You didn't know Beyonce was in a girl group?
Wasn't a girl? Isn't it a singer? Beyonce the singer?
Yeah. Yes, Beyonce the singer. Did you know?
I thought you told me it was a group, and I was like, I don't know, man.
So Beyonce, in the beginning of her career, was in a girl group called Destiny's Child.
Okay. Yeah, I had no clue. I had literally no clue.
Fair enough. All right, last song.
When I'm looking at you, I keep thinking, why can't she be like you? So I'm scheming.
They all sound so
I
similar.
can't go on like this.
No, but like there's no instruments.
Her love is true.
It's like I don't hear a lot of lyrics in general, and I don't recognize any of the songs.
We're just going to listen to it for the sake of Guyana being so awesome.
We might be together, but love is missing. Girl, I want you. So what can we do?
Yeah, I have no clue.
Okay, fair enough. Because I can remember to read the songs today. Song number 1, I don't remember. Anthony will put them on the screen in post-production.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so let's get to it. Oh, by the way, you got 0 out of 4, but that's okay because you're not the first. You're the second, so
Fair.
you're good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, so we're going to get to why the people are actually here. If you're new here, welcome. If you already know the vibes, welcome back. I'm Jordan, a.k.a. Jay, a.k.a. The Chosen One, a.k.a. Big Stepper, and I'm here with my co-host.
I don't know if I can say the words. Oh, I have a voice. I'm Tiffany B. We're excited you're here for the Stats on Stats podcast. I'm a little out of my voice, but we get to talk to leaders in the cyber IT technology space, and we have one of those here with us today. He's going to introduce himself, tell us where he's from, where he's currently, what his role is, and how long he's been in this space.
Yeah, so I guess that's my cue. My name is Bertram. I'm a 20-year-old guy from Denmark. Like for those of you who don't know, it's a part of Europe. The northern part, we call it Scandinavia up here. I finished high school, I think 1.5 years ago. And I have been doing software development for the last, I would say decade, but I'm not sure it counts as doing software development when you're 10. But I've been doing software development for a long time, doing everything from artificial intelligence and embedded programming to cloud and everything in between. Yeah, so that's a little bit about me. I can touch a little bit about what I'm currently doing.
Well,
Unless you want to save that for a little bit later.
we can save that for 1 second. I actually have a question for you, just so for our listeners who don't necessarily know. You say you're a software developer. What does that mean? What do you do?
I write software. I think more specifically, the art of software development. I don't know if you can call it an art, but the idea of software development is to employ languages that computers understand to solve concrete real world problems. I think that is what I do. So that in practice just looks like writing a lot of code and debugging even more code.
Do you have a preferred like scripting language?
For scripting, probably Bash. I know a lot of my colleagues in this space would say PowerShell. I absolutely despise PowerShell. For doing like actual programming, I mostly do Python and JavaScript just because it allows me to very rapidly prototype, and I like to move fast and break stuff. And for embedded, I strongly prefer Rust, but I think most people could probably guess that.
Fair enough. I'm gonna let Tiffany ask some questions because I have a tendency to take. Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it sounds
That's
like you've
probably
been.
gonna be a little bit.
Yeah, you've been sucking on helium for a few days. Okay. Fair enough. So how did you?
Spotlight all to yourself then.
Oh gosh, pressure. Okay, so you're 20 years old right now. Like, when did you officially decide like this is what you love to do? Like, when did you really start? Like, what age?
I think I started doing this. We have a not for profit, I think, but basically non-profit organization in Denmark called Coding Pirates. Amazing name, which is a lot of grown-up people teaching smaller people how to do programming. And I think I attended that at age 8, I think, for the first time, because my parents was tired of me literally like taking apart every single computer I could find in the house. So they were like, go do this and stuff. And I met some really cool people there and got introduced to the world of programming, which I strongly believe is the closest thing we will ever get to magic. Because I can do things most people look at what I do and they're like, I have no clue what it does, and it does all these things over here. Like, I think it's amazing. So yeah, I started at a very young age, and then kind of dabble in and dabble out as I got some new interest and some old interest, and programming was one of those that kind of stuck around.
That's wild. When I was 8, I was just telling Tiffany when I was 8. Never mind, I'm not gonna tell that story.
Now we kind of want to hear it.
So. All right, so I apologize. I hope no one turns off the podcast. But when I was 8, me and some like friends went to Six Flags, and trying to tell the story like the best way I can. We went to Six Flags, and there was a sleepover, and I was a shy pooper, so so I fell asleep, and I woke up with poop in my pants.
That kind of sucks.
So
Yeah.
meanwhile, while you were being a genius, I was over here afraid to poop.
As if I didn't poop my pants at that age.
Oh. Oh my gosh. So like what kind of resources like right now, right? Because you know, everything is constantly changing. What kind of resources are you tapped into to stay up to date and to stay sharp?
I don't really, a lot of people always tell me that things are changing incredibly quickly. I think I disagree with that sentiment. To be honest, I don't think like true progress is like obviously it's a lot quicker than it was 200 years ago. I don't think there's any question about that. But it still takes like decades for things to come around and kind of evolve into something we can use. It was now 4 years since OpenAI released the first large language model, and I would argue that we still have a very hard time putting the new like GPT 3.5 and 4 and the Gemini models and stuff like that to actually use. Like, people look at those and say they're amazing. They can do all these like flashing things and look cool and imitate a human being very well. But doing actual work and making that count as progress, I think takes a lot of time. So I don't think really like staying up to date is necessary in the way that most people portray it to be.
This man is spitting hot fire bars, bruh. That was a hot take.
I shit a lot on like the field of AI. I don't like it. A lot of people really like it. I think it produces more garbage than it does good. But oh well.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
If I find someone who submitted code to my repos generated from ChatGPT, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do, but I promise it ain't gonna be pretty. Yeah, I have a very, very hard stance on those kind of projects.
Oh.
Like for the entrepreneurs out there doing it to kind of fill in a skill gap they have because they're amazing at a lot of other stuff. Great, I love those people. Like they kind of use it to do stuff and move fast. But for the genuine programmers and software developers whose sole purpose is to write the code, like, do better. Is honestly my take on it.
This man has, I'm telling you, you got billionaire energy, my guy. You definitely do. Like, I'm just, wow.
I
I'm
don't
in
even know
awe.
what that looks like.
You. Looks like you.
Okay. You know what? I think I'm gonna write to Oxford and have them put in a picture of me under like this. You look at billionaire, you see a picture of me. Sure. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh, man. This man is ridiculous. I love it. So I just have to point out real quick. I met Bertram at the SANS Cyber Threat Intelligence Summit, and I personally am super introverted. So I never really talk to people. Like, I talk to Grace because she's super freaking nice. But you're the only person I actually initiated conversation with. And I think your hair was longer, and that's why I initiated conversation. I was like, this guy's hair is beautiful. Like, I have to say something to him. He's clearly cool. He's clearly fun. And you ended up being really, really nice. So I do appreciate that.
It was the hair? Goddamn. I think I have a lot of good qualities. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think the hair is one of the best ones, but
I mean, why'd you cut it?
yeah, let me tell you, I suddenly have a lot more respect for, I would say females, but in this day and age, long-haired individuals who go to the barber and always complain that they get cut like off way too much. Because I went to the barber and I asked for like 1/3 of the hair to be cut off, and this is more like they left 1/4 of the hair. So yeah.
Wow.
I like change and I like trying out new things, and now we try out something new.
It's giving Boy Meets World / Dawson's Creek. So I dig it. I'm a fan for sure.
Fair.
All right, so I have another question for you actually before we get into OSINTer, but I was like really impressed with your stage presence at the Cyber Threat Intelligence Summit. What have you done over the years? Because you're honestly, I mean, you're young, right? What have you done over the years to kind of develop those public speaking skills?
Nothing. I think I don't even like practice my presentations at all. It just kind of clicks. Like I cannot for the life of me like practice a presentation. I cannot get out like coherent sentences at all doing practice, but like when I stand on stage, it just kind of clicks and just kind of works out. I think that is also why there was some small inconsistencies and not very great moment in the like whole talk at the San CCI summit, and honestly those were probably just due to being underprepared and not having actually practiced it.
Wow, that was really honest.
I like being honest. I like people who are, some people would call them very blunt. I like to call them ruthlessly honest.
Okay.
I prefer it that way.
So, okay, then where do you get the confidence? Because you're a very confident guy. Like, where does that confidence come from?
I just know there's no way to frame this where I don't sound like a arrogant asshole. I just like I'm all about, I think from like a very principled standpoint, all about internalizing like these things. Like a lot of people often compliment me on a lot of stuff I do and gets rather frustrated because I don't really take in these compliments, because I don't like to kind of externalize my identity. I like to more internalize it and say, I know I'm good. I don't need those people telling me I'm good, because I know I'm good. I look at what I do. I'm proud of what I do. I know it works. So I think it's just doing the work and know that it's good work. Like, you don't have to tell anyone you're good, because you know you're good, because the work you do is good. Like, just let the results speak for themselves in essence, I think.
That's clean. That's like, he does like positive affirmations. That's dope. I like that. All right.
I do too.
I do too. All right. So let's talk about OSINTer, right? Because I'm excited to talk about that. So let's start from the beginning. First of all, tell us what OSINTer is and how did it start? Where was it born?
Yeah, so OSINTer is as you probably guessed from the name, a digital platform marketed towards CTI and OSINT professional in the cybersecurity industry. Essentially, it's a giant, like, kind of complicated news aggregator. So we pull in a lot of news information and put it in these like organized templates, and then we serve it out to the people who want to get an overview of what is happening around them in the cyber threat landscape, and how do they navigate that, because we found that there was a lack for that. The story for how we started is, in my opinion, kind of fun. I like to tell that because originally I was supposed, we have this organization in Denmark called Cyber Skills, which hosts these like awesome talks for young people like myself, where industry experts come out and talk. And I found one of those about some Python development and how to Dockerize that in the cloud. And I kind of wanted to go to that. And somehow there was a calendar mix-up because I ended in a completely different talk about the cyber threat intelligence frameworks for, I think it's the financial sector. I'm honestly not strong on that. Those were 2 hours of my life that I will never get back because I had zero interest in that. But I think in the end, David, one of the speakers, kind of presented this workflow they had at the company he worked at the time, Computech, a Swedish cybersecurity company. And I just kind of looked at the workflow and I was like, we can do better than that. There's a lot of manual work here, and a lot of stuff that I just like. I was 17 and very arrogant and very like, obviously we can do better. So I kind of talked with him, and he was like, sure, if you come up with anything great, let me know. I would love to hear, and then we kind of took it from there.
Okay. So like, what did you? I know because your story is mad interesting. I remember you telling it. So what did you end up presenting to David? Can you tell us about that?
I actually, if people want to see it, they can just go look up my San CTI talk because I demoed it there too. Just a simple like 200, 300 lines of absolute spaghetti Python code, which kind of pulled in some news information and put them in this cute little template and then had them exported directly to a markdown format. So really, really simple proof of concept. I just thought it was kind of interesting to make, and David really, really seemed to like it. So honestly, not something great, not something big. It took 2 hours of like, no 2 weeks, but besides like doing schoolwork and homework and stuff like that, a lot of other stuff in life. So it wasn't really a big effort.
This guy just said he came up with a platform that 25,000. Because I was there at the San CTI summit. This man said I was doing homework when I came up with a tool that 25,000 to 30,000 people use a month. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did you?
It's a digital age. It's honestly, you just have to make something that's kind of good and you could get users on board.
Did you feel pressure? Did you feel any pressure to get it perfect immediately?
No, not at all, actually. Quite the opposite. For me, what was magical, especially in the start about this project, now it's a little bit different because we have quite the user base and some companies reaching out and stuff like that. But especially in the start, I think I had a lot to do at school and stuff like that. And it was just kind of an escape because I just kind of did that. And there were zero expectations, like at all, because like people didn't even know what I was going to create and didn't like honestly care too much for it. So I think that was the best part of it, and what I absolutely encourage people to do, that when the risks are so low, like there is nothing to lose, there is literally no reason to not give it a shot and attempt it.
Did it raise any fears for you or your family, especially with you being so young and working on a tool for cybersecurity?
I'm not sure I understand what kind of fears it would raise, like about personal security.
No, just, you're such a young age and you're working with like corporations or organizations to help them with like cyber threat intelligence and stuff.
No, don't think so. I think obviously there are always some legal ramifications one should be aware of, but I'm no stranger to reading legal documents, and my mother is a student of law too, so there is a lot of help to be gotten from home as well. Awesome. So I think that was the only one. Like I was a 17-year-old kid. Like there was, again, as I mentioned before, nothing to lose really. So
that's fair. So because at some point can we do a demo at some point?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%, absolutely.
So I do have a few more questions. One of those questions being, I know you're a developer, so there's probably a ton of other things that you're working on in the background, like on the side. But as you develop OSINTer, are you finding that you have to learn a little bit more about cybersecurity?
Yeah, to some degree. Honestly, I find more that I was kind of a developer when this project started, and obviously I was 17 and honestly hadn't done a lot of development, so I wasn't great. And obviously I have improved a lot and learned a lot, and I still do. Like I think 2 weeks ago I started doing some payment panel stuff for OSINTer and stuff like that, and I had to pick up some Stripe APIs for managing payment. And all of that was a completely new word to me because you have to do a lot of stuff differently when managing credit details and stuff like that. So I think I'm constantly learning also about cyber threat intelligence, but more on the development side.
Okay. It's crazy to think that like you're over here worrying about like GDPR and stuff. Like that's crazy.
Yes.
That's
Oh yes.
I like at 33 years old, I couldn't even imagine having to deal with all of that. So kudos to you for real. I know you don't need compliments because you have your own positive information or affirmations.
That doesn't mean I don't appreciate them. They're always appreciated.
He said, "Boost my ego." All right, right on. Okay, so to my like to our listeners right now. So if you're not watching this, you're totally gonna miss the demo. So like, just go ahead and watch this. But Bertram, can you hit us with a little demo, a little walkthrough of OSINTer? I want to see the paid stuff too. Go ahead and show that. No.
Hi. So this here is the homepage, and I think for most people, like the beating heart of OSINTer is this page here, the feed where all the news articles comes in. I know a lot of our users, this is where they go every single morning because this is where they kind of get the rundown of what have happened in the last week or maybe the last day. If we just log in so I can demo some of the functionality currently behind the paywall. We pull in a lot of unstructured text, which means we just basically pull in a lot of text articles. And what a lot of people in cybersecurity really likes are those like grand dashboards and overview where they can like get take the pulse and get the overview of what is currently happening. And that is a huge task to extract from text data. And that is one of the big things we're working on. What you see here is one of the attempts where you have this dashboard where you have some tags over here for what is like emerging tags. You have some of the current CVEs that's popping up and some of the topics that's currently trending in the different articles. A lot of this is generated by a lot of in-house machine learning and AI. So as much as I like to dunk on artificial intelligence and especially large language models, there is absolutely a place for them. And I think some of these use cases here are great. I can also we can kind of look into the heart of some of the text extraction that is used for the dashboard I just showed. This here, when it just loads in just a second, it's quite a lot of data that we load. Is kind of what we have tried to create here is a map, because we pull in 75 to 100 news articles a day. That is a lot of text. So what we've done here is we've taken, I can see we have nearly 40,000 articles. We've taken those, we've kind of squished down the text to 2 dimensions where it still contains the meaning of the article. So you will see the meaning of the articles embedded like a 2D, a point in 2 dimensions. So if we zoom out in here, you can see a cluster here. This seems to be a lot about the NSO and the Apple stuff. You'll probably see some, I would imagine, some healthcare down here. We have actually clustered them down. Yeah, so there's a healthcare sector here and some Microsoft stuff and some Android malware here. We can just go in here and see there. Each of those small dots here are representing a news article. And we can even, if we load this, then you can see like the whole cluster of then we group the articles by a topic to hopefully enable the people who use this to kind of cut out the noise and only find what they actually need, because there's a lot of information. I think this is the root of it. Obviously there is a ton of other stuff too. We have an AI assistant too, despite me just again dunking on the LLMs, where it could kind of give you some insights on what is happening in cyberspace. It queries our database for news articles and then kind of uses those for information about specific exploits or specific vulnerabilities and stuff like that to make sure that the AI is always up to date and doesn't just hallucinate because it doesn't know the answer. They have a tendency to do that a lot. But that's the essence. That's
clean. Like, that is so clean. How much y'all gonna charge for that though? Are you allowed to say? Don't say. If you can't say, I'm gonna stay out of your pockets. Don't even answer that.
No, absolutely. There's nothing secret about that. Like this is me. Like there is no corporate structure here. There is nothing. So I can do whatever the I want. That is what I really love about this project. The current plan is to charge somewhere between $10 and $20 a month per user. because I would imagine that's quite doable for most people. That's probably cheaper than the Netflix, to be honest. And then we do have some enterprise customers who want some on-prem solutions and some want some special data protection or some customization and stuff like that. We're obviously going to charge those on a case-by-case basis.
So the UI is dope. Like, this is something that I would actually use, to be honest, even though I don't currently work in cybersecurity. Like, this is sick. And a lot of people obviously don't know this because I don't really speak anywhere, but his project, OSINTer, was presented to me like years ago by David. And I had released this blog article about basically using RSS input for Logstash. And so when I released that, David like hit me up probably a few days later and he's like, have you seen this project OSINTer? And I'm like, no, I've never heard of it. And he was like, yeah, it was developed by this 17-year-old and, you know, can you check it out and, you know, give me feedback. And I went and looked at it and I was like, a 17-year-old came up with this? That's crazy. That's crazy. Like, you had different, like, you had a huge amount of like Python script in there. You had some Ansible in there. I was just like, bruh, this dude is on a level. Let me just quit life. But yeah, that was that was really
it's
cool.
It's funny because I remember seeing that post about the RSS feeds. And I thought the same. That was an awesome way to kind of utilize Logstash and Elasticsearch, and there was absolutely some potential in there.
Oh,
that was a really good one, actually.
Did you hear that? He said, the billionaire said, I got potential. if you need somebody to hire, like, take this out because I don't want Elastic to fire me. But if you need somebody, you know, on the board of advisors, you know what I'm saying? I'm free-ish on Fridays after 5 p.m.
Free-ish. They all say that. Free-ish.
Yeah. So would you mind kind of walking us through the stack a little bit? You mind sharing your GitHub? Just to kind of show people
100%. Yeah, I guess I can just give you the link and then you can share it afterwards.
Yeah.
Or maybe I can screen share it too. That's also a possibility.
Yeah. Screen share. And then, I mean, all of this, we're going to share the link to your Sans talk, your GitHub, everything.
Yeah, so we have a GitHub for the platform. Nearly every single piece of the platform is currently open source. Not all of it, but like 99.5% of it. And the reason the rest isn't open source is just we have a lot of internal stuff going on and we run fast and we do a lot of stuff fast. So we kind of got to figure some stuff out and then we'll open source that too. But yeah, we have a stack primarily consisting of Python and JavaScript. We have the backend doing all the scraping, which is basically a ton of Python, which uses the Elasticsearch connector to connect with the Elasticsearch cluster. I think one of the main challenges from a technical perspective, and I also present this in the talk we ran into, is scraping websites on a generic basis is really, really, really hard. Like oh damn, it's tough because there's a lot of standards and no one follows the standards. Like, no one. So we built a scraping engine, and then separately from that, we did a concept called profiles, which is basically domain-specific language written in JSON, which contains a lot of CSS selectors for where on the site do we find the relevant information, and we use that to filter out the noise. And then we combine that with some JavaScript scripts that we run in the Selenium instance we use to scrape the websites to kind of, like, you remember those like pop-ups, accept cookies and stuff like that, to get rid of all of that and maybe load some stuff that is loaded dynamically. To serve all of this information, we also once again use Python together with the fast API library, which connects to our CouchDB and Elasticsearch database, CouchDB for user management and Elasticsearch for article content. And then all of this is hooked up upon a SvelteKit 1.0 front end, written just purely in SvelteKit and Tailwind, nothing else. So that is more or less the stack. And maybe I can just find you an actual overview of it in here somewhere. Yeah, so up here, what you see here is like an overview of the stack. We have the scraping engine here with Selenium and the scripts up here and the Python here, the two databases, the web server and the server-side rendering at the front end, or proxy, obviously, and then the client side.
Wow. So one of my questions is, did you write all of that script yourself?
Yeah, honestly, it isn't a lot. Like, we have, I would estimate 20,000 lines of code, which isn't like a lot. This has been written over the course of 3.5 years. if I knew back then, like 3 years ago, what I know now, I'm a vastly better software developer now. So like if I knew that back then, I could have done this in probably under a year. And so it isn't a lot of work. It's a lot of learning for me personally.
So it looks like you have a lot of profiles. How are you kind of getting the information for where you should pull some of this information? Like where do you get ideas for what news feeds to use?
Basically, our concept has been we don't need to personalize OSINTer if just we pull in everything that's relevant from like the news sphere. So I think I've worked together with a lot of the people I know from the industry and asked them, what do you think is relevant? And obviously made my own assessment. Do I think it's relevant or not? And then just kind of went along from there. I think a big takeaway for me and for a lot of other people who have talked with about the project is that it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes you don't have to come up with like this giant scheme of we have these 4 million news sites that we pull in everything from and we filter it through this giant like data pipeline and stuff like that. It's very down to earth. It's very simple. We just talk with people, and if they're missing something, we'll look at it and we'll say, okay, that's kind of sauce. We want that, add that. And sometimes it's a really good sauce, and we will add that.
Okay.
So yeah, it's mostly just what we feel like, to be honest.
What's the vibe? What's the energy? So have any of your users shared any interesting use cases with you? Been like, man, this tool helped. Yeah.
Oh, yes. You develop a tool and you envision your user going down this path, and they kind of like, they go halfway down this path and then they kind of like do a breakaway move and like do a like full 180 and do something completely different. Yeah, 100%. And we're constantly working on employing user feedback and kind of hearing what works, what doesn't, and how do you use this? Because I'm not the expert here. Like, I don't do cyber threat intelligence. I'm not the target audience for this. So 100% we employ user feedback a lot because they do stuff very, very, very differently than I envisioned, for better or for worse.
Have a lot of people started to contribute to your code at all?
No, we don't see a lot of that. I think that is one of the tough things with open source in general, besides the really, really large projects, especially because this isn't a library. This is like a final product. People don't really contribute to those unless they have a specific reasons. We have had some single people who had some interest and contributed over the years, but it doesn't run as an open source project. It is open source, but I run it.
Would you mind, because I mean, I read a bit about you and you mentioned it before, you prefer open source options. Why is that?
I think I just strongly believe, and there's a lot of reasons for that. We can do a whole separate podcast on that, I was about to say. But I strongly believe it leads to a better ecosystem with fewer security faults and just overall better software. I am the kind of person where I'm not an absolutist in any way, but I do very strongly hold the belief that open source is just plainly better, and there is very, very, very close to zero drawbacks. That isn't entirely true. Obviously, there are some commercial ramifications, stuff like that. But if you really want to make it work, I believe that in most cases that is possible.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced with building OSINTer?
I think, honestly, it's most that OSINTer is kind of in the same boat as a lot of startups, which means that I have to take on a lot of work. And some of that work I'm really good at. Like some of the backend software development, I'm really, really proficient at. Some of the other pieces of the work, like doing financing, doing sales, doing marketing, even doing UI UX is really, really tough for me and something that takes a lot of time just because that isn't my strong suit. And I think that is always going to be a struggle for every single startup out there unless they got a metric ton of VC funding. I think that is by far the biggest one.
Do you have any advice? Because I know people are going to watch this and they're going to get super inspired. They'll be like, man, like, I'm trying to get into that. Like, how do I get into that? So do you have any advice for people who are interested in doing what you do as a developer? Like any advice, any resources that they could utilize in order to be where you are?
I don't have a lot of resources because I don't think that is for most people the right way to go. I think for most people, it's just about like sitting down and doing stuff. Like, first off, if you want to be really proficient at something, for 99% of people, you want to find it interesting, because otherwise you don't have the discipline to do that. There is like a sliver, like 0.001% of people who can do it either way. I know one of those, and he's a menace. He is a psycho. But for most of us, we have to really want to do it if we want to truly become proficient at it. I think that's the first step. And I think the second step is just sit down and do stuff, build stuff. If you want to do software development, just go ahead and build stuff. I speak at a lot of like smaller places with young people at stuff like science fairs and stuff like that, because I love science fairs, and that is also a big part of this project. I've participated in a lot of science fairs and won a few of them. And young people often come up to me and they hold a lot of worries. They say, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I don't have the time. And most of the time, those are limits, arbitrary limits they set themselves. I think most people have this assumption that for me to do this, I have to, one, of be incredibly smart. Like, I'm not. Like, I think I took a Mensa IQ test and it said like 105, 110, which is like decent, but like that's no rocket scientist. I graduated 11th out of 21 in my class with respect to grades, so like very much in the middle of the pack. You just sometimes just have to do and not see a whole lot of limits, because that is truly how you get the farthest.
Yeah, but they say geniuses don't really care for school because it doesn't challenge them. So, like, I feel like when you took
that is a good point as well.
You took that IQ test and you're like, this is boring. So it has nothing to do with you not being a genius. Because
I don't think I have a lot of talent. Maybe some intellect, but not a lot of talent. I just had a lot of hard work, to be honest.
There are a couple more questions I want to make sure I ask because it's on Tiffany's paper.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are there any additional projects, blogs, etc. that you're working on?
No, I think this takes a lot of my time. Obviously, I have some side projects going. I really want to, when we do elections in Denmark, we have politicians have these like huge posters they hang up. I don't know if you do the same, like every single corner street with like their face on and their name on, to make sure that people know who they are. I want to kind of create a Pokemon Go, but for those, I think that could be really fun. And a lot of other side projects like these, but not anything big. OSINTer is taking a lot of my time currently.
OSINTer is your full-time job?
Yeah, well, I don't know if you can call it job when it doesn't pay the bills, but it is full-time, absolutely. And when I say full-time, I mean 50, 60 hours a week, 100%. Like, I don't really do, I love this. I love doing this. I love seeing it succeed. I want to see it succeed. I don't do weekends because what the would I want to do in my weekend that's not like work? I don't understand. I don't do obviously I do still do vacations, but I work a lot because I find it really amusing and I like it.
Okay, wow. So besides being a billionaire, like where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I don't think, despite just saying I work a lot, I don't think I have the work ethic to become a billionaire. I think best case scenario, I do something like this, maybe OSINTer, maybe another project, sell it for, if I'm really successful, and obviously that's wishful thinking, but sell it for a couple of millions and kind of do my own. I'm one of those people that don't really need a schedule to entertain myself and to hold myself accountable. So I'd preferably just get a bunch of money and go like around and find out. One of my biggest dreams is getting to own and fly like a fighter jet. I really want to own a F-16, preferably an F-22, but there is literally no way in hell I get my hands on one of those. I'm an absolute adrenaline junkie, so I would love to fly a fighter jet. So hopefully in one of those, if I'm lucky.
So he said, I hope to sell it for $500 million, buy a private fighter jet, and just around and find out. I love this for you. I feel like we're going to have to monetize this episode because he's going to be famous.
That would be very sweet.
All right, so it doesn't sound like you have much time, but how do you stay grounded? Like, how do you keep your sanity? Do you have any, like, hobbies besides dreaming about fighter jets?
I play the drums sometimes. I've done some professional photography and some DJing, so I do quite a bit on the side as well, actually. I think the thing that keeps me absolutely the most grounded is just having good people around me, like, absolutely by far. I have both a girlfriend and a little brother, both of who I absolutely love and love to be around. And so that 100% keeps me grounded and helps me get a little bit back to reality when I've been sad for like 60, 70 hours a week doing OSINTer for 4 weeks straight. That is definitely like helps me get back to reality a little bit.
This man is working doctor hours for intern pay.
Intern pay. I hope you pay your interns because I don't pay myself.
Well, guess what? We don't pay ourselves either. So we're in the same
Fair.
boat. Yeah. I mean, just
Gotta start somewhere.
if you decide you're grateful for this interview and want to throw us a couple million, you know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be mad, my dude. But yeah. All right. So
Definitely grateful. Don't have a lot of millions to throw at the moment.
fair enough. All right. So one of the questions Tiffany likes to ask, are you open to connecting on LinkedIn with anybody? After they see this,
Yeah.
I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of traction. So, well, wait. We hope we hope enough people will watch this. But are you open to connecting on LinkedIn?
Yes, absolutely, like 100%. Please, especially if people want to get involved in the project, like please reach out. And even if you don't, even if you're so stuck in life, you feel I have anything to add, please reach out. I know a lot of people in the industry feel the same. Like I've done a lot of research prior, some biotech and stuff like that. If you want to get your hands on research stuff and stuff like that, just reach out. People always love, especially those who are really good. Like if they have time for it, sometimes they don't, and the worst they can say is literally no. But for most of us, and that is definitely me included, please reach out because we would absolutely love to. Obviously, if your main problem is you have something you really want to succeed at and you aren't working hard enough, there's not a lot of I can do about that. But if you're one of those like if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I'm truly hardworking, I truly want this, I promise I will 100% be there at least to give my input.
All right. So last thing, as we're about to close out, do you want to give any shout outs to anybody?
Not any. Obviously, David Clayton, who has been with me this whole journey, has been absolutely amazing. Love that guy. I've never, ever, as someone who is quite the introvert myself, I have never seen anyone network like that. It is mind-blowing to me. But no, not necessarily anyone in particular.
All right. Well, fair enough. Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I'm not really good at this part because Tiffany usually does it. Do you want to go ahead and wrap us? Send us home. No.
I don't know. I can't.
Oh no, you sound terrible. Let me go ahead. Let me go ahead and do this. So, Bertram, first and foremost, thank you so much for your time. Like we truly appreciate it. Like endless gratitude. And to our listeners, thank you for rocking with us. We hope that you found this interesting because we definitely did. So if y'all don't watch it, we gonna watch it like 4, 5, 6 times to run it up ourselves. But yeah, like I said, thank you so much to y'all for listening, and thank you, Bertram, for your time.
Yeah, and thank you. I'm like you're not the only ones grateful here. It's been a good time. It's definitely been a good time.
Awesome. Thank you for that. That boosted my ego. Gas me up. Definitely. All right, cool. Well, y'all, until next time, stay wavy.